No, they are not entirely predictable, but some of them are predictable. And when you look for them, it's because you make a prediction. Certainly, when in the light of Jacobson's Poetics, I was looking at circus acts, and I was looking to structure of symmetry or dissymmetry, to structure of the projection of the, of the paradigmatic axis on the syntagmatic axis. And there is certainly some circus act in which you have all the paradigm which is projected on the syntagmatic axis, because you have all the possibilities one after the other displayed. So certainly all the Jacobson Poetics can be applied to such traditional performance, that is, performances which implement a tradition of rules, a tradition of habits, a tradition of models. I don't mean that circus artists or trainers have a model that they explicitly apply, but if they want to do something within the tradition, they do that. For instance, when I started my own circus in 1964 with a lion trainer, a young lion trainer, we decided to have a lion act. Now, we decided to buy lions according to a certain pattern, and then we started training the lions according to what we had seen and what we had experienced in other circuses. So we had this model. We were not, it was not an explicit model. I was not doing semiotics at the time, and I don't, I had very little clue about that. But certainly there is this knowledge of a system, implicit knowledge of a system that you replicate, that you generate from these internalized rules.
We're looking here at this, just in terms of the student's question, we're looking here at a cityscape.
Yes.
Is this, is this a meaningful act? Does semiotics help explain this phenomena we're looking at?
Well, that is a problem which I have with notably the semiotics of marketing, of advertising. Recently, I read an article on the semiotics of video games. And the semioticians who deal with this problem shows how these semiotics, these iconic things are combined with indexical one, with the plane, etc. And then my answer to this, yes, but what you do is that you do some form of reverse engineering, because the people who have created either the advertising or the video games, they are people who have very often an explicit semiotic theory, because they are people who have studied semiotics, or they are people who have developed their own spontaneous, natural semiotic, because any human being, in any culture, needs to have his own or her own semiotic system. Everybody needs to have an implicit, at least, natural semiotic theory. You would agree with that, I suppose, you see? So when you look at a cityscape, first of all, there certainly, unless you are in an absolutely controlled imperial, with the emperor decide of how, from this point, the cityscape will look like, you have really something which has emerged from random creations. Nobody has planned that there should be these round things here and these pointed things over there, so as to form, a sort of harmonious line. These things have come naturally through what I would call autonomous agents. There may have been a urban planning which says, yes, you can build on that particular piece of land. Yes, you can reach this particular height. But nobody has says, here there should be a 50 stories building. Here there should be a tower with 75 stories. So there are things which emerge from the action of autonomous agents. And I think that the development of the theory of autonomous agents has been extremely important to understand the emergence of patterns which look like structures. And that is a great advance. And if you want to know a little more, you have the book by Stephen Wolfram, you know, A New Kind of Science, which summarizes a bit all that has been done on chaos theory and so on, where you have very impressive patterns which emerge from the independent action of autonomous agents. For instance, traditionally, humans have wondered. They have found extraordinary a beehive, you know, with all the hexagons of the things. But if you think that all these bees work at the same time, even if they want to make circles, they will control each other, and you will end up with hexagons. It is the result of a very simple, you know, algorithm. Fill up all the space around you, and since they are all with the same genetic, you know, all these bees are clones of each other because they are sisters. They are generated by the same queen, so they have the same biological clocks. So they work on the same rhythm. And therefore, if one was working faster, then you might have a big circle. But since they are all working together, necessarily maximizing the occupation of space around themselves, they will end up with hexagons.
In terms of sign production or sign interpretation, even that spectacle of the city, would you include that in semiosis, that patterning?
Certainly,
pre-structure. I mean, it's not rigorously structural.
Certainly, it is important in semiosis in as much as individual citizens of Sydney identify with the cityscape. There are beacons. And of course, the cityscapes is different from all point of view. You have people who live within the cityscape and they see only big things, you know. But they see that on pictures. These pictures, you know, this cityscape from various point of views is replicated ad infinitum on postcards, on books, on teacups, on placemats, etc., etc., etc. So it becomes a sort of, I would say, I don't know how to say that, but an extension of your own body. You are a citizen of Sydney, then this is you, in a way. And when you want to send a postcard, for instance, you send that, it's a part of yourself, it's part of your city.
So you really have internalized.
Yes.
At an abstract level, turned it into a self-siding process, something
you see,
something meaningful as well.
Space inter-memory has itineraries, paths, and so on. Now, you are in Sydney, you work in George Street, for instance, so you take King, you know, you drive, or you take the bus, you have an itinerary. Now, if someone asks you, how do I go from George Street to Broadway, for instance, I say, okay, well, you can go there, or you can take the shortcut, and so on. So you have internalized a map. But on the other hand, we organize space also with beacons. So we have this sort of vision, and it's a different experience of space. The experience we have now of this skyline is very different from the experience that we have if we are looking for an office, on Circular Quay or something like that.